Famcast Media, bitch.
Mi gente, ¿cómo están?
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Welcome to another edition of Must Love Wrestling. And damn, do we have some things to talk about today. We had the King of the Ring this week with two new King and Queens of the Ring in Nia Jax and Gunther. And we also had AEW Double or Nothing. So why don't we just jump right into wrestling news? Why don't we start with the latest news in professional wrestling, which is Becky Lynch. And I know we talk a lot here about Becky Lynch, but I want to be clear. She's one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers in the business. And this is my podcast. So I'm going to talk as much as I want about Becky Lynch. She is phenomenal. But with all that praise, there's a little trepidation because is she done? Is she gone from WWE now? June 1st marks the very last day of her current contract in the WWE. Is it gone? Is it over? Has Becky Lynch wrestled her final match? And in doing so, done what almost no other superstars do anymore. In her very old school mentality, she puts over Liv Morgan. She helps progress a storyline. She gets Liv Morgan to the top of the mountain by going out on her back. Now, she tweeted at the end of the show, "To be continued." She also had a pretty emotional segment with Lyra Valkyria where she talks about when there's nothing else to do, is it time to walk away? That to me was so telling. Now, she could be playing a little bit of hardball with WWE and kind of telling them, hey, you don't sign me, I have another place to go. And that's what AEW does. They go out and they get the person that you don't expect them to get. Now, Mercedes put on a hell of a match this weekend, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Becky leaving, wow, man, that would be a major deal. But we can't talk about Becky without talking about Liv and Dom, because what happened? Liv and Dom, well, they're showing signs of that AJ Lee, CM Punk storyline. Because right now we have AJ Lee kind of her aura all over Liv Morgan. It almost seems like Liv is playing that crazy character. She's playing mind games. Remember back to the Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Kane feud? How AJ Lee was like making out with all three of them, and she was playing mind games, and nobody was really prepared for what was coming next. I mean, that's exactly what I'm seeing with the whole Liv Morgan storyline. And I love it because it's dissension in the Judgment Day. And right now, there's only one person that's been the constant in the Judgment Day, and that is the World Heavyweight Champion. He has his own issues to deal with. Now he has Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman to deal with. Now, I don't know where we're going with this, but I love it because it keeps him out there. Now, Drew McIntyre came back and he clapped back hard this week. And he did it again today on Twitter, comparing Damian Priest to Jack Swagger as a World Heavyweight Champion. And my God, that is a brutal comparison because we know Jack Swagger's World Heavyweight Championship run was not great. But Damian once again shuts it down by asking Drew, is your wife going to be there? And well, CM Punk's been MIA, so we know Punk will be in Glasgow. We know he's going to be there. Is he going to stop Drew McIntyre from winning the World Heavyweight Championship? Man, I hope so. I hope so, because I want that feud to go. And my dream SummerSlam main event is Damian Priest defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Cody Rhodes and against Drew McIntyre. I mean, not Cody Rhodes, I'm sorry. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I want that to be the match. Then we can move on from there. Well, Double or Nothing was this weekend, and once again, we have a AEW pay-per-view that was way too long, had way too many matches, and what they have, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 matches. I got to be honest with you. For me, there was only 3 matches that were important, that mattered. Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb. I thought that was an exceptional match. I thought that match to me was the best match of the evening. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to point out Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong. I can't do it, guys. I can't. What is the most important part of being a professional wrestler? What is it? What have we learned from the beginning? When I was in Jersey All Pro Wrestling, when I was training to be a wrestler in Jersey All Pro Wrestling, I don't want to misquote myself. What was the number one thing that Fat Frank told us? What was the number one thing that Brian Brower taught us? That Adam Brower taught us? Selling. Selling is important. You have to sell. Your job is to go out there and make the other guy look good. Your job is to keep the other guy safe. That's what your job is. Will Ospreay does not sell. He does not sell one bit. The guy goes out there, and I am expecting a reversal. I am expecting immediately for him to reverse a move and hit one of his fancy gimmicks. When is he going to work from the bottom? Is that what professional wrestling is? Because he did an interview recently where he said AEW is a little bit of a company. They're all trying to climb the ranks, all trying to get to the top. It's a wrestling company. Well, is selling not a part of being a wrestling company? Because I just watched your match with Roderick Strong, and he sold his ass off for you. But you didn't do the same for him. Not even a little bit. That was pretty hard to watch. I didn't think that match was great at all. It might be Will Ospreay's worst match that he's had since he's been there. You want to look at a really good sell job. You want to look at a really good match. Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné, they killed it. They sold for each other. That may have been the match of the weekend. I mean, Mercedes, this is exactly what you got her for. You got Mercedes Moné to be a professional wrestler. Eric Bischoff has been absolutely correct when he's talked about Mercedes and how putting a microphone in her hand to start, that is exactly what makes her just another person. But in the ring, bell to bell, not many people can keep up with her. No way. That to me was the match of the weekend. I loved it. The moment of the weekend, though, the moment was Maxwell Jacob Friedman coming back in his Triple H inspired gear. He's got the classic jean jacket with the leather cut. He comes out with that biker look. He hung up the suit. The scarf is on the mannequin in his house, and Maxwell Jacob Friedman is back, ladies and gentlemen. And he says it. He doesn't need New Japan. He doesn't need Vince McMahon, because the only person who made MJF is MJF. And he is absolutely correct. You can tell from the moment that man came out, from the moment they had that hallway scene that almost was inspired by The Shining. As you walked out, you could tell that Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, was the biggest star in AEW. And it's not even close. There's not even a singular person in that company, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, anybody. You can point them out. And you know how much I love Bryan here. there isn't a single person that eclipses what that man means to that company. And he is a necessity. I may not be the biggest MJF fan, but I can compartmentalize my feelings of whether or not he talks about WWE too much, whether or not he tries to do the gotcha promos. I can recognize the type of star he is, the star power that he drives. I fully expect tomorrow night on Dynamite for the ratings to hit 1 million, because that's what MJF does. We'll see what happens. But in all this pay-per-view and all of this stuff that happened with AEW Double or Nothing, we need to talk about the negatives. Adam Copeland announced today that he has broken his tibia. The spot is circulating the interwebs, and you can see him go up to the top of the cage, and he jumps off in a very awkward angle, lands feet first, and that's where he must have fractured his tibia. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just going based off of what the internet has provided me. I don't know when it happened. You can see he was limping beforehand. What a tough motherfucker for him to go to the top of the ramp and celebrate with Gangrel. I mean, damn. I was not expecting that celebration. If you break your tibia the way Adam Copeland did, you would think that you'd need to be helped to the back. You might not even make it. He still made it to the back. What a tough SOB. That to me was, it was awesome. The match itself was great, but I wanted to touch on something that I talked about this week with Tyler. And I'm hoping to get Tyler back on the podcast here. If we could just get our schedules aligned, we can get the band back together. But I sent this to Tyler. Here are some of the talents in which Edge has beaten clean since his return at the Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Grayson Waller, Finn Balor, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, Seth beat him too. Well, he's 2-1 against Seth Rollins, so he won that feud. He's 2-1 against Finn Balor, losing the I Quit match. But it didn't come without controversy because Beth Phoenix was about to be hit with the concerto, which she was eventually hit with the concerto anyway, so he quit for nothing. The only feud that Adam Copeland has lost at the age of 50 since his return at the Royal Rumble is Roman Reigns. He is quite literally doing the opposite of what John Cena did. John Cena was losing feuds to people, losing to AJ Styles, losing to Kevin Owens. Let Solo beat him. Austin Theory beat him. He's leaving and going out on his back, giving back to the business. Unless you're going to tell me that Adam Copeland is going to make his way to the World Heavyweight Championship in AEW, then it makes zero sense for him to continue to wrestle these guys and not put anybody over. Because Malachi Black has been kind of held down in that company for a very long time. You can't explain to me, there's no possible way that you can explain to me why Adam Copeland needed to go over on Malachi Black. And now with the injury, so you have Malachi lose. You have Adam Copeland break his tibia, which is like you don't have it happen, it happens. And now what happens, guys? Now the TNT Championship is just going to be put up for grabs. Somebody's going to win it, possibly this week. They're going to have a tournament, maybe the winner of the Owen Hart Classic. We don't know what's going to happen. That company's a fucking shit show. But it's still pretty sad. Let's get back to the King and Queen of the Ring, because that was the pay-per-view of the weekend, the premium live event of the weekend, guys. That show was exceptional. I loved it. I loved every single part of it. My match of the King of the Ring was Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria. I thought the two of those women absolutely stole the fucking show. Now, don't get me wrong. Gunther versus Randy Orton was amazing. It was art. But in terms of the stakes, in terms of Nia going out there working a relative rookie, someone who's a rookie to the main roster, you cannot tell me that the MVP of 2024 isn't Nia Jax. She has come back and she has just completely swayed people's opinions of her. There's no more people bashing her. There's no more people bitching about her hurting someone. No, no, no. She's coming back and she's giving people their best matches. Now she's going to wrestle Bayley at SummerSlam, and we're going to have a proper build to that. That, to me, is exciting. Obviously, we know that Liv Morgan won the World Heavyweight Championship or the Women's World Title against Becky Lynch, so we know where that's going. We already see the tea leaves. But we need to talk about how great Nia Jax is. We can now start positioning her in our minds as wrestling fans as one of the top female wrestlers in the world. Because you can no longer berate her the way you did. You have to be happy with what you're seeing. She has done everything that wrestling fans have asked for years. She's fixed it all. Now, there was two more things I wanted to talk about before I leave here today. One of them being Cody Rhodes. I've seen a lot of people say that his WWE Championship run has been kind of lackluster. And I ask you, what do you want? He's had 2 pay-per-view matches, and they've both been exceptional. He's had a television match with Carmelo Hayes, and the match was fine. I think that just speaks because Melo's severely overrated, but still working great. What more do you want? He's not oversaturated. He's not all over the television shows. When he does show up, it's important. And he wrestles at every pay-per-view. That's what a world champion does. He is important. We have to earn the right to watch Cody Rhodes. Did Roman Reigns' reign not teach you guys anything? Because I feel like a lot of yous have just, oh no, Cody's going to be at every single show. He's going to be at every single live event. Well, you're going to wear his ass out. We're looking for longevity here. All right? I know a lot of you guys think he's like the young guy, the new up-and-coming guy, but him and Roman Reigns are the same age. Well, actually not. We need to wish happy birthday to the one, to the tribal chief. He just turned 39 years of age this week. The last thing I wanted to talk about here is Braun Breaker. Because, wow, what a slow burn build Triple H and Creative are doing with him. Braun Breaker is the future of professional wrestling, and he is being treated as such. I don't expect him to take a L in a very long time. I expect him to slowly continue his reign of terror on Monday Night Raw. I don't think there's anybody Adam Pearce can put in front of him that he's not just going to completely mow through. He is going to be built as the 2024 Bill Goldberg, and it is going to be done with such care. They're going to absolutely treat him with the respect that he deserves, build him correctly. He's only 25 years old. So let's take advantage of this. Let's stretch this out. We have key players in place. We have about 4 guys vying for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have AJ Styles. We have Cody Rhodes. We have the guys on SmackDown that are in the top of the card. Braun Breaker can take his time. They don't need to rush him into the world title picture. They don't need to rush him into any title picture. Just keep it this way. Because I trust what they're going to do with Braun Breaker. I'm very excited about it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Must Love Wrestling. Once again, this is me solo. And I'm looking forward to getting Tyler back on the podcast if we could just get our schedules aligned, because I would love to have some conversations with him about Mr. Overrated, Mr. Will Ospreay. I would love to have some conversations with him about Maxwell Jacob Friedman, because as you know, Tyler's a big fan of these guys. I would also like to talk to him about the women in professional wrestling, because right now I feel like they've been stealing every single premium live event they've been a part of. But I've been saying that for a little over a year now, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to our show. Once again, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for subscribing. So please like, subscribe, and share our page. The best way to get our page out there, to get our stuff out there, to help us grow to a broader audience, is for word of mouth. Just tell your buddies about our show. And when we get to 500 subscribers, and we're more than halfway there, whoever the 500 subscriber is going to produce our show. You are going to tell us what our topics are about. We're going to do an entire show where you tell us what to talk about, whether it's polarizing, whether it's controversial, or whether it's old school. You pick the topics, we will discuss them. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, que tenga buen día.